And I'm back. Chonko Comics and Nerd Culture coming to you once again from the small but mighty comic room. Um, so this is a video that I've been promising for probably about 10 days. Um, Finally have the books that I've ordered and I wanted to kind of feature on this. But this entire episode is going to be specifically looking at one artist, Mark Spears. Um, People who are into comic books, I think, are very familiar with Mark Spears by now. He's been really just crushing it here since 2024. I Anytime you see like a top selling comic list, he's on that list with one of his books that he's been doing. Um, so before we get too far into it, just do another fit check. Another Golden Age comic book cover, Atomic War, bombs away. Um, Another comic I don't own. In fact, I've never even seen this comic, but I thought it's cool and sticks with the theme. Um, yeah, so Mark Spears. Uh, I think for most people, I mean, unless you really are paying attention to artwork, I think for most people he really started to gain attention last year in 2024. Um, One of the reasons I wanted to talk to him, talk about him, is because of that. So I grew up a punk rock kid, and part of the whole like punk rock ethos was to just do things yourself. Don't wait for anybody to do it for you. You just figure it out, do it yourself, and that's why a lot of these punk rock bands would just get into a van and they would tour, and they would make their own records on their own labels, put it out, and it would spread by word to mouth. People would exchange recordings of what they were doing, and I've always liked that. I like people who just uh, maybe they have obstacles or whatever, or people are not paying attention to them, and they just figured they'll do it themselves. And I think part of his story is like that. So we'll get into a little bit of the history, but it seems I've heard him talk a couple of times that he was not getting the jobs he wanted, and he really was focusing on this artwork he was doing uh, for like the Universal monsters, um, these prints that he was making, and it seems like it's kind of a hybrid of traditional and digital art. And then he he just made a Kickstarter to make this comic book himself, Mark Spears Monsters. So yeah, just ignored by kind of the the bigger names in the industry. It seems like he had done some work, but um, he decided he wanted to do this book himself and put it out, and it was just a monstrous hit for a comic book. Monstrous hit. Um, and I think that it's really respectable to me when someone believes in themselves enough to do that. I mean, just did a Kickstarter and put out these books and this amazing art that like nobody's really doing right now, at least in comics. Um, Colors that are he's using, and just level of detail and kind of the rendering of the characters is really super unique, and uh, sometimes funny and sometimes weird, and kind of all the things that you want in a comic book. Like, as I've mentioned in other episodes, I've always been into monsters, monster movies, monster kind of things. You see a lot of monster stuff in my room here, a lot of pre-code horror and things like that. And I have to admit I was kind of late onto it. I had seen it, um, but at first it didn't really speak to me until I started to see more of the covers. And by that point, I was already a little late on the bandwagon. Things started to get really expensive, but I was able to get some cool stuff, and I kind of gone back and picked up some stuff and picked up some more recent comics that he's done. So yeah, and as part of this, uh, I heard Mark Spears talk on a couple different um, uh, YouTube like podcasts where he was talking about some things, and they kind of mentioned some books, and looked some things up, and was able to get a hold of some things. So, from what I've been able to piece together, and correct me in the comments if I get something wrong, it could be my crackpot research might be off. And I'm also going to reach out to Mark on Instagram, tell him about this video, and Mark, if you come through and I've screwed something up again, mea culpa, and please correct me. But near as I can tell, very first artwork that Mark Spears did was in Image Comics, and it is this. It's Ultiman #1 for Image, and this was way back in 2001. So looking through this, black and white story, and he did pencils on one. There are multiple stories in here, and one of the stories is Mark Spears on pencils. So this is very early in his career, obviously, and it yeah, was able to get a hold of this on eBay. Since I knew I was making this video, I was able to get like a really great copy. I mean, it's a beautiful copy, so I could discuss this part of it. So there it is. Yeah, very first Mark Spears artwork for those who are interested in picking something up like that. Then, I mean, I'd be interested to hear what was going on with Mark for some time. But as near as I can tell, it seems like he was working on his monsters artwork, and like trading cards, and trying to again do his own thing. And I know he did a Kickstarter, but it seems like even before the Kickstarter, there was this. This is Diabolique magazine #24 from 2015, and it's kind of like a almost like a fanzine for like horror kind of stuff, and there's like ads for different like horror movies, and interviews and things with like horror movie people. But if you go all the way to the back, there is from what I understand is the very first ad for Mark Spears Monsters prints, all the way up there. From what I understand, this is the very first time the artwork that went into the monsters, the kind of universal monsters that he used for the Monsters series. This is the first time it appears. Is this ad in this specific magazine? So that's all the way back in 2015. So again, I mean, it kind of shows you how long it takes to get the stuff off the ground, and how you really have to be persistent with this. I'd be interested in hearing him tell that part of the story. I did not hear that if he went over it. But yeah, going all the way back to then, he was working on the Monsters series. Then I saw in looking, the next thing that I found that was, I thought, really notable was his first cover, and this was about 7 years later that he had his very first comic cover. And this is Vampirella Mind Warp #2, and you really start to see the Mark Spears style start to come out in this. And it's this. It is the cool use of color he has. Obviously, monster, themed, being Vampirella, and really, really cool. Always great renderings of the characters and things, and kind of all that, the interesting use of background colors and things. You start to see the style start to come together on this. And yeah, so yeah, I have this in a 9.8 slabbed, and I think it's fantastic personally. Then I know Mark did some other work for a handful of different comic companies. But again, he really broke big in 2024 with Mark Spears' Monsters #1. Specifically, there was a cover of like Bride of Frankenstein that was really what caught everybody's attention. But that wasn't what got me. What got me were some of the variants, and he was doing different homages to other comic books, other famous comic book covers. And as I mentioned before, my favorite comic book cover of all time is Crime Suspense Stories #22. We call it CSS 22. And for the Monsters #1, he did a variant, and it's this. It is an homage to Crime Suspense Stories #22, where there's an axe and a severed head, just as the cover from 1954 EC Comics. He even, it even looks like an EC Comics comic book with the trade dress and like almost like a take of the EC logo. This one was I think this was a 1 in 200 or 1 in 100. Put out by Nirvana Comics in Knoxville, Tennessee. I did just look this up, by the way. I sent this in. I sent this in raw and slabbed it myself. And if you saw the episode where I got the slabs back from CGC and I had this, I was saying, yeah, I'm keeping this. But I have seen this currently selling for about $400. But it doesn't really matter. I like it. I'm keeping it. So, in fact, I even see on the Nirvana Comics set, they do a YouTube show, and they have a slabbed version of that, and there's only a 9.6, and I got a 9.8, so. Then for other monsters, I have several, but I wanted to go over kind of my favorites. So this is one of the variants for #2, and it is again an homage to like EC Comics. There's the werewolf and the guy out, and this is exactly how a lot of like the EC Comics would be. Some of my favorite parts about this is like there's like he's drawn in wear, so it like looks like this is damaged. It's not. It's part of the artwork to make it look like a really old, like golden age comic book. You can see kind of wear along the spine and everything. That's all artwork. When I first pulled this out, I ordered this. I was like, oh man, this thing's damaged. Then as I looked closer at it, I was like, wow, what a great idea to kind of mimic the wear of an old 1950s horror comic. So yeah, I love this. I think it's another great homage to what I enjoy, or the old kind of golden age books. Super creative, really really cool, and yeah, I'm glad to have that. Then the next two I'm going to show are recent, very recent from the Monsters series, and they're both what you call Virgin variants. Those of you who are not familiar, Virgin means the trade dress doesn't appear. There's no pricing. There's no title. It's just a clean copy of the artwork, and a lot of times you would use this to if you were going to get one signed or anything. But both of these are #3, and so this one is a 1 of 300. So there are 300 of these, and it's just the Wolfman, the werewolf character. And the glare again in here is, especially in these Mylar books, I don't want to take it out because this is like, I when I put this in Mylar, it's flawless. Like there's nothing wrong with this. This is like, if there's such thing as a 10.0, this is a 10.0. There's nothing along the spine, nothing, not even a blemish, and it's like a mirror when you open it. It's like, it's so well done. But again, what a cool monster cover. Like as a kid, I would have lost my mind for things like this. This was exactly what I loved. Were werewolves and zombies and vampires and whatever, gargoyles or things like that. I loved, and I think what a great use of light that is. The eyes are fantastic. Yeah, I love this, and I think I CGC just recently had a submission to send things in to have Mark Spears sign it. I missed that cutoff. I would have sent that one in to get signed. I also just got another one, and this might be my favorite Mark Spears artwork so far. And this is a Dracula variant, and it's a 1 in 250. This is a number one third print. I'm sorry. It's the Dracula bats cover, but kind of the cool fire in the background. I mean, just like super Bela Lugosi looking. Here's kind of the 1 in 250 third print exclusive to looks like Mutant Comics, I guess. But again, yeah, this is my favorite of all the monsters covers. This one's my favorite. But yeah, I think that this would be something that if I didn't already have it, I would probably be chasing this. And I think this probably this if I don't save this to maybe have it signed at some point, might be slabbed. It's so perfect, and yeah, I would like to keep it flawless in the condition it currently is. One of the great things about doing these doing so well, making your own books and putting them out with this Keenspot Entertainment, you get attention by some of the other comic companies. Now I know he had worked with Dynamite before, but Dynamite has the license to several properties, Dynamite Comics, and one of the ones that they have a license to is kind of a classic series. And for number one, Mark did a great cover of Thundercats, and check that out. Just again, really really cool. I've heard that maybe this is Lion-O in the future or something like that. I haven't read this, but what a cool cover with this, the night sky and the snow, and yeah, again, the same kind of use of colors and cool, so many colors and colors you don't see that often, like up here in the tree, and then kind of the whatever this red moon is in the background, and it's really well done and noteworthy, because the more you look at it, the more you see that brilliant use of color and yeah, just light and or in this case, lack of light. In addition to that, he recently started doing some DC stuff. So Action Comics, he did. This is 180 and 181, and you can kind of see how cool these are. The kind of the Superman family, and the other side is these Nemesis, the bad guys. But one of the things that I've noticed is he's starting to use a lot more blue, and it's almost like this icy blue, and I really like it a lot. I think it really shows off some things, like when you're looking at Superman or the Super Family, how they stand out against that. It just looks cool, and these kind of things, these like ghosts or whatever, it just, I think it looks great. There's another Action Comics cover, or it might be Supergirl, where he's done Lobo. I don't have that, but that's fantastic. And given Lobo's appearance in the upcoming Supergirl movie, I think that one would be worth having. It's already very expensive though. I mean, even now, I think a raw copy. I think it's like $90 or something just for a raw copy. So, might not be picking that one up. Additionally, I heard Mark talk about how much respect he has for Todd McFarlane, the great Todd McFarlane. Everyone who knows about comics, I as I talked about earlier, when there is this, I have this punk rock ethos of doing things yourself. Todd McFarlane very famously was working for Marvel, was one of their like top artists, maybe the top artist, and was working on Spider-Man. Had kind of revolutionized the way Spider-Man was drawn, his webs, and created a brand new character called Venom that became this smash hit and things. But at a certain point, he left and started his own comic company with a handful of other comic creators, some of the big names at the time, Jim Lee and these people. I think it was risky to burn that bridge, and yeah, I mean, he turned what they turned into Image Comics was became a real giant in comic field, and he also created this toy company, McFarlane Toys, which is when it comes to like high end, collectible type toys, is one of probably the top two in the world. So yeah, really went out and did it himself. But I heard Mark talking about how he's forged a friendship with Todd McFarlane and taken a lot of business advice and things from him. And in that, McFarlane invited him to do some work at an Image, specifically on a couple titles that are McFarlane titles that he developed. One is Gunslinger, so Gunslinger Spawn, and you can see the yeah, these I forget this guy's name. I haven't read Spawn in many years, but it's cool. There these, I don't know if these are like his kids or something, and then the wild cat, and it's yeah, it's really well done. Again, going back to what I was saying earlier, that where Mark Spears is really starting to get into this use of blues, lots of blues in everything he's doing right now, which I think is really cool. And again, but similar use of colors and almost like a painting style, even though from what I understand, a lot of this is digital. And then Todd McFarlane asked him to do kind of the flagship title at Image, kind of the legendary title, McFarlane's baby, Spawn, and so yeah, this is a Mark Spears Spawn cover, and again, a lot of the uses of blue, just again, cool rendering of the character, the great use of the different colors and light, and the lightning strike in the background. Yeah, just really super well done. I was really stoked to see this. I was stoked to hear that he was going to work on Spawn, and yeah, and it just doesn't seem like this is dying down. Like it seems like there is just quite a bit. Every month you see more and more titles that are in like top 10 lists, and they are all there's like two or three Mark Spears books, and I think this has legs. Like I think there's always a danger of saturation in anything, but this really reminds me of like J. Scott Campbell in kind of early 2000s, when uh, everybody took notice of J. Scott Campbell and he started doing these fantastic covers that everybody wanted, and I think that Mark Spears is on a similar trajectory, and I think you're going to see more and more of this, and and you know more and more of his own work. He's got a Kickstarter page. Check out the Mark Spears Kickstarter. He's putting together another title. I'll let you go and take a look at it. I've funded that Kickstarter, so I'm looking forward to getting a book that I selected when I funded. I'd like to get more. I'd like to get more of those books, and honestly, but Kickstarter only allows you to fund once, and you can pick one reward. And in this case, I picked, well, it's two books that I'm going to be getting. That's all I had for this this Mark Spears. I have a few more Mark Spears books, but I wanted to keep this. It's already at 25 minutes. I was going to do a Choco the dog reveal, but I think he's sleeping right now, and I don't want to get him riled up. He's a puppy, and he'll be losing his mind, and it's 10:30 at night. I think that's all I had for now. One other note, yeah, went up in subscribers. Picked up another couple subscribers, and somehow the algorithm picked me up last night. Not crazy. I don't have 1,000 views, but I got like 76 views of which was way more than I've ever had for a video. So yeah, thanks everybody. Any new subscribers, welcome. I am totally glad to have you here. If you please give this a like, please drop a comment, and yeah, subscribe if you're not subscribed, please. It helps. At 50 subscribers, like I said, I'm going to do a giveaway, and I keep saying the giveaway that I do will not be dog shit. It'll be something that you like. If you're a comic book collector, you're going to like it. This thing is going to be a slab and another couple cool things that I'll be sending off to one lucky winner. I guess I heard that YouTube asked me to specify this is not affiliated with YouTube. The rules are basically going to be like people who comment on a future video. I'm going to select one of them, put names in a hat, and my close buddies that I know outside of YouTube, you're not eligible. But I don't think you really want it anyway. So, yeah, we'll be doing that at 50 subscribers, and then again at 100, and then again at 10,000. I know I'm kidding when I say 10,000. So yeah, that's all I have for now. Let me know if you like this or if you hate this, and we could have an internet fight in the comments if you really want to. Otherwise, I hope the rest of your week goes really well, and that's it. Cheers for now.